our focus today is obviously cold-formed steel, and we're going to explore the latest developments. And what I mean by the latest developments is 2018 IBC. What are the appropriate standards relative to cold-formed steel design that have been adopted in 2018 IBC? And there is some new stuff. So my intent is to try to dive into several of these documents to give you a flavor for what's there. But let's begin first by maybe getting an overview of what has happened to us in the way of cold-formed steel in the last edition of the standard. So under the AISI umbrella, if you will, there are two standards development committees. One of them is the Committee on Framing Standards, and the other one is the Committee on Specifications. So under the Committee on Framing Standards, they developed in 2015 a list, as you see here, of 4 standards. 2 of them are new: AISI S240, adopted in 2015, and AISI S400. And as we move through the discussion this afternoon, I'll give you a better understanding of what is involved in both of those documents. So these, as indicated by the screen, are new. AISI S220, which focuses on my non-structural member, was just an update. The first edition was in 2011, and so in 2015 we updated that. And then S230 is really a prescriptive method. So it's a lot of charts and tables based upon these other standards. And so again, I'll briefly talk about that this afternoon, but more importantly, I want to focus on S240 and S400 because, as we indicated, they are new. In addition to these, now, under the Committee on Specifications, they also developed 2 new test standards. As we know with cold-formed steel, sometimes we just can't calculate what the behavior or what the strength might be. And so AISI has developed a number of test standards focused on the proper methodology of testing cold-formed steel components. For example, in 2015, 2 new standards, S915, which deals with the development of the behavior of the bridging member through the punch-out. We know that in studs and joists, a common approach to bridging or bracing is to run a little channel member through the punch-outs. And so how do we evaluate the performance of that bridging member in that punch-out? And that's what S915 does. S916 pertains to the non-structural or the interior partition walls. We know that as we look at this partition wall, I can design it either as an all-steel design member or as a braced member. If I'm going to brace it, I'm using the gypsum board to provide that bracing. And so therefore, how do I develop the strength of that member, this partition wall, with the influence of the gypsum board? For many years, we've had AISI or AC26, excuse me just a minute, I apologize. Let's get that out of there. I apologize. Okay. AISI 916 parallels AC86, which the ICCES has had for many years. And so as you look at 916, you're going to say, hey, I've seen that before if you're familiar with the AC86. As we look at then the Committee on Specifications, the North American Specification, or commonly called AISI S100, has a 2016 date. Also, this committee has developed AISI S310, which pertains to profile deck and panel. And our focus now is on the diaphragm behavior of these deck and panel sections and how we develop and assess that behavior. So this is an overview. Now what we want to do is take some time and dig into each one of these to get a better understanding of what and why we have so many different standards. So let's start with S240-15. As we indicated earlier, it is new. The document itself is new, but much of the content is not, because back in 2001, AISI, under the Committee on Framing Standards, began developing several smaller little standards: a general provision standard, a wall stud standard, and a header standard. And then from subsequent years, we developed a floor and roof system design standard, a lateral standard, and a truss design standard. So these were all small little documents. But rather than have all these little documents out there, we thought it'd be more effective and easier for the practitioners if we combine them into one. So as you look at AISI S240, you'll say, hey, I've seen this stuff before. It's already been out there for some years. It comes from one of these other standards. So again, S240 is new in concept, but the content, much of it is something that we've seen previously.